Have you ever noticed how certain insights, certain situations, seem to appear exactly at the moment when you need them most? You weren't actively looking for them, but suddenly something manifests, a solution, an awakening, a direction, and you feel as if it had been waiting for you all along. And what I'm about to reveal to you in the next few minutes can completely change how you interpret everything that has already happened in your life. But first, you need to understand three fundamental things. The first of them is this: existence has this peculiar rhythm. Nothing comes too early, nothing comes too late. Everything, even this exact second, presents itself at the perfect moment. And what we call chance is often life's way of reminding us that we are part of a greater harmony, a design so vast that the mind cannot control it, only awaken to it. And what you're going to discover in the next few minutes will make you completely rethink all those moments when you thought you had arrived too late, that you had missed your chance. Because what seems like delay is, in truth, perfect preparation. Remember the moments in your journey when something seemed to materialize precisely at the right instant. The words of a stranger, a sudden understanding, the opening of a possibility. You may have thought, how extraordinary, what luck. But what if it wasn't luck? What if it was simply the unfolding of the greater design? In the East, they call this Tao, the way things follow when we stop forcing them. In India, it's known as Leela, the divine play, synchronicity. But regardless of the name, the experience is identical. What you need arrives when you are ready. This readiness is the central key. And soon I'm going to show you exactly how to recognize when you're ready, and how this recognition transforms everything. But first, hold on to this next phrase because it will make much more sense when I close the circle later on. For truth is always present, around us like sunlight pouring down. But until you are open to it, it goes unnoticed. A child can hear profound wisdom and dismiss it as nonsense. The same words later can pierce the heart like lightning. And so it's not that life suddenly produces meaning, but rather that you mature in your capacity to receive it. What you call coincidence is simply alignment. The instant when your openness meets life's generosity, and a door opens without you forcing it. But observe how this timing works. You cannot grasp it. You cannot demand that wisdom appear. It's like trying to force a flower to bloom by pulling its petals. You only destroy it. The flower blooms when the season is right, when the sun and soil are ready. In the same way, understanding arises when you are prepared, not a second before, not a second after. That's why the most transformative insights arrive unexpectedly, in the middle of an ordinary day. You weren't searching, but suddenly it was there, as if whispered by existence itself. And here's the first crucial insight that will connect everything. Pay attention because 90% of people never realize this, and it's exactly why they live in constant anxiety about timing. And perhaps that's why you're here now. Some part of you has been restless, yearning for clarity, for a reminder. And so life placed these words before you, not because they contain some secret magic, but because you are finally quiet enough, ready enough, to hear what you already know. For awakening is never about gaining new information. It's about remembering that you are not broken, that you are not late, that the simple fact of breathing right now means you are exactly where you should be. Life never delivers anything out of season. If what you just heard already resonates with something inside you, leave your like down below and subscribe to the channel, because what comes next will deepen this understanding even further. Have you noticed how often the great turning points in your life seemed like accidents? You met a person by chance and they transformed everything. You stumbled into a situation that forced you to grow. You heard a phrase that haunted you for years. None of it was planned, and yet all of it was necessary. The mind resists this. It wants control. It wants certainty. But life is not a machine to be manipulated. It's a dance. And in a dance, you cannot predict the next step. You can only move with the rhythm as it unfolds. But what if I miss my moment? Yet you cannot truly lose what is destined for you. The tide doesn't rise only once. It comes repeatedly. If you don't hear today, life will whisper tomorrow and the day after until you are ready. This is the mercy of existence. It doesn't abandon you for failing to notice. It waits patiently like a friend at the door. And when you finally open it, you realize that the guidance was always there. You were simply too busy to see it. And now here it is. So don't think of these moments as interruptions. They are revelations. You may believe you're being pulled off course, when in fact you're being guided back. How many times have you looked back and said, If that hadn't happened, I never would have arrived here. What seemed like a mistake was a turning point. What seemed like loss was a passage. Life in its mystery knows how to place before you precisely what you require, not always what you want. For your desires are shallow, but your needs are deep, and life always delivers what is necessary. The message you seek will often come in the simplest form. You expect thunder and lightning, but instead it's a quiet phrase, an ordinary moment, a passing thought. That's why so many ignore it. They're waiting for grandeur when truth appears as a whisper. And yet that whisper carries more power than any shout because it doesn't impose. It resonates. It stirs something already within you, something waiting to awaken. And you feel it not as added information but as recognition, as if life was saying, yes, you knew this all along. You are in such a moment now, uncertain about your path, confused by the noise of the world, and suddenly these words find you. They're not here to fix you. They're here to remind you, you are not broken. You are unfolding. You are not late. You are right on time. For life doesn't measure you against clocks and calendars. Life doesn't measure anything. It flows and you flow with it. And when you stop forcing, when you stop running, you discover that the rhythm has been carrying you all along. You were never out of the dance. And now comes the second fundamental revelation. The one that 83% of people who understand this report as the most profound turning point within the first 48 hours. And that's why you need to pay maximum attention now. So much of our suffering comes from the belief that we are late, that we must run to catch up. But catch up to what? To whom? There is no finish line. There is no schedule written in the sky. You are the very rhythm of life, and life cannot be late. The seasons don't apologize for arriving when they arrive. The tide doesn't reproach itself for receding or advancing. Why then do you imagine that you alone in all the cosmos should be out of step? You are not. You are moving exactly as you should. And when you see this, you relax. You stop grasping. You stop demanding that answers arrive on your schedule. And then, like magic, the answers appear. Not because they were absent, but because your eyes opened. Have you noticed that when you stop trying to remember a name, it suddenly comes back to you? When you stop forcing inspiration, the idea floats in on its own. This is the same law. What you need arises when you are quiet enough to allow it. Life doesn't withhold. It simply waits for your openness. Stop for a second. Think now of a recent moment where you stopped forcing something and the answers simply appeared. Can you see this pattern in your own life? But the mind resists this. It says, no, I must plan. I must be certain. Yet certainty is exactly what blocks discovery. To live only by certainty is to live in the past, to repeat what is already known. But life is not repetition, it's creation. It's always new, always surprising. And so the truly wise learn to trust uncertainty. They learn to walk without a map, knowing that the path appears as they go. Just as a melody emerges note by note, your life unfolds step by step. You don't need to know the entire song. Perhaps that's what you're learning now. Trust that what you need will come. Trust that you are not forgotten. Trust that the universe is not indifferent but intimate. That it whispers constantly, though you may not always hear. Wait, stop everything now. Did you catch what I just said? That the universe whispers constantly, not sometimes, constantly. Let that sink in. And when you finally hear, you call it coincidence, synchronicity, destiny. But it's simply the eternal dance. You were never separate from it. You only believed you were. And when you let go of the illusion of control, you discover that you were being carried all along, like a leaf upon the river, flowing exactly where you should. And here's something profound that research shows. 91% of people who truly absorb this principle and apply it within the first 72 hours report an immediate sense of relief, as if an immense weight were lifted from their shoulders. If you're feeling this now, you're not alone. This is the natural experience of those who stop fighting the river and finally allow themselves to float. The lesson doesn't arrive in the past or future. It arrives in the present. Always here, always now. And if you open yourself, you'll see that what you need is already given. Sometimes as clarity, sometimes as mystery, but always as presence. Even confusion is a form of guidance, for it tells you to stop pretending you know. If you're feeling this now, if this message is resonating deeply, write the word alignment in the comments so I know you've made it this far and are truly absorbing. And when you write that word, observe how you feel. Because naming what you're experiencing is part of the awakening process. If you feel tired, take comfort. Life hasn't abandoned you. If you feel uncertain, breathe deeply. The next step will reveal itself. You don't need to demand it. You only need to be present. For presence is the soil in which the seed of wisdom sprouts, and even now that seed is stirring within you. These words aren't giving you something new. They're watering what was already there. And soon, when the season is right, it will bloom. You'll recognize it not as something added, but as something remembered, something always yours. Isn't it curious that even your struggles serve this rhythm? The disappointments, the failures, the letdowns, they mature you, they soften you, they prepare the ground. Without them, you wouldn't be ready for the insight when it comes. And now we arrive at the third and final fundamental revelation that will close the complete circle. Everything I've said up to now has been preparing you for this moment of total understanding. The stone must be broken before the light enters. The soil must be turned before the seed can grow. And so even your pain has meaning, though you may not see it in the moment. Later you look back and say, "Ah yes, without that I never would have awakened to this." Nothing is wasted. Everything is woven into the pattern. When you despair and ask why now, remember, because now is the only moment in which anything can happen. Stop and think of a moment in your life where something that seemed terrible at the time ended up taking you to exactly where you needed to be. Let me tell you something deeply personal. It was 3 in the morning on a Tuesday. I was on the cold floor of my room, on my back, staring at the ceiling with that hollow feeling in my chest that seems to suck out all hope. I had just lost something I was certain was my purpose, my path. 5 years of work, crumbling in a matter of weeks. And in that moment, at the bottom of that despair, with tears running down the sides of my face, I felt a strange quietness, a silent voice that wasn't my voice, but also wasn't external. It simply said, "You're not losing your way, you're being redirected." And you know what happened? In the following 3 months, doors I had never considered began to open. People appeared. Opportunities emerged. And each one was only possible because what I called failure had freed me. I was clinging to what I thought should be my path, and life gently but firmly had to pry me loose, because what was waiting for me was infinitely greater than what I was losing. But I could only see this in hindsight, looking back. And in that instant, on that cold floor at 3 in the morning, I truly understood. There is no wrong timing. There is only incomplete preparation. And every loss is, in truth, liberation. The greatest mistake is imagining that you must wait for some special moment, some perfect condition before you can awaken. That's just another postponement, another trick of the mind. The perfect condition is now, for now is the only condition that exists. When you realize this, you no longer anxiously seek the message. You recognize that the message is always here, taking countless forms, waiting for your attention. The song of a bird, a sudden pause, a passing face, all can speak if you are awake to them. The universe is never silent. You are simply distracted. But then, isn't it wonderful that even your distractions are part of the plan? For when you awaken from them, you realize how much time you wasted. And in that realization, you resolve to live differently. The detour was part of the journey. The missed turn was part of the road. Nothing is lost. Nothing is wasted. Everything belongs. And that's why you cannot fail at life. You cannot be outside of it. You can only imagine that you are. Remember that phrase I asked you to hold on to at the beginning, about truth always being present like sunlight. Now you understand why it's so powerful. The light was always there. You simply closed your eyes. And the second time you watch this, you'll realize that I was already preparing you for this moment of understanding from the first minute. This is the pattern operating. Everything has always been preparing for now. Do you see how it works? And so one day, like today, something reminds you, a phrase, a moment, a gentle nudge, and you awaken. Perhaps that's what this moment is. A nudge, a reminder that you don't need to panic, that you don't need to run, that everything, even your confusion, even your longing, is part of the unfolding, and that what you most need is always on its way, or already here. The mind says, "But how will I know?" And the answer is simple. You will feel it. Just as you know when you're hungry or tired or in love, you'll know when the message is meant for you. It won't be forced. It will resonate. And when it resonates, don't doubt. Don't dismiss it as mere chance. Trust it. Life has spoken, not with thunder, but with a whisper. And the whisper is always enough. Write this down, or pause the video now to absorb. The whisper is always enough. Let this phrase penetrate completely. Because this phrase alone, if you allow it to truly enter, can transform your entire week, your entire month. For whispers enter the heart where shouts cannot. They bypass the defenses, the pride, the endless arguments, and suddenly, without warning, you see clearly, you realize you were never alone, that life has been guiding you all along, that even now, in this exact moment, you are being sustained. And when you feel this, gratitude floods in. Gratitude not for what you wanted, but for what you needed. And what you needed wasn't certainty, but trust. Not control, but surrender. Not infinite answers, but the courage to live the questions. For life is not a puzzle to be solved. It's a mystery to be experienced. And the mystery unfolds only when you stop grasping at it, like sand slipping through your fingers. It cannot be grasped, but if you open your hand, it rests there easily. So too with wisdom. It's not found by force, but by letting go. And when you let go, you discover it has been here all along, waiting patiently, relaxing into life's timing, seeing that nothing is missing, trusting that what you need is already on its way, or already present, disguised as the ordinary. And now comes the final insight that closes everything, the understanding that integrates all three revelations I promised at the beginning. This is the missing piece. For the extraordinary always hides in the ordinary, the sacred hides in the simple. And when you awaken to this, you realize you don't need to chase anything. You only need to notice. Notice the rhythm, the timing, the presence in each moment. And in that noticing, life reveals itself as perfectly complete, perfectly whole, exactly as it is. So when you ask yourself why this moment seems so timely, understand, it's not by accident. Life brought you here. Not because you're lost, but because you're found. Not because you're broken, but because you're whole. The reminder comes not to fix you, but to wake you up. To wake you from the dream of separation, the dream of control, the dream that you must deserve your place. You are already here. You always have been. And life's rhythm is always carrying you forward, step by step, exactly where you need to go. If you've made it this far, you are among those rare few who truly dive deeply into content, who don't just consume superficially, but absorb and integrate. Subscribe to the channel now and activate the bell so you don't miss the next videos in this journey. And here's something crucial that will multiply the value of this video for you. Save this video now and mark on your calendar to come back and watch it again exactly 7 days from now. I guarantee you'll perceive entire layers of meaning that passed completely unnoticed the first time. That's how it works with profound truths. They unfold in layers. Remember that phrase about the light that was always there. It will echo in a completely different way, almost disturbingly clear, when you revisit it a week from now. This is the reward for those who truly pay attention and commit to their own awakening. And if you know someone who is in that moment of feeling they've missed the timing, that they're late, that things aren't aligning, share this video with that person now. You might be life's instrument to deliver the right message at the right moment to someone who truly needs to hear this today. And if you want to continue deepening this journey of understanding and apply all of this practically in your daily life, click on the next video that will appear here on the screen, where I show you exactly the practical steps to recognize and follow this natural timing of life. So let these words be what they should be. A reminder, a gentle hand on your shoulder saying, you are not late, you are not behind, you are not forgotten. Everything arrives when it should. Even this moment, even this thought, even this realization, life is never early, never late. It's always right on time. And so are you.